right, so for lesson 5.9 today, we are going to work on recording data on a line plot and then using that line plot to answer questions about the data that we have charted. Okay, so as we move ahead here, we are looking at line plots. So here's some information to know about a line plot. A line plot is going to look like this. It's going to have X's showing each piece of data going up like this according to the hours. So this example right here is how many hours were spent watching TV. It has a title that tells you what information you're getting from this graph. It has a label with units down here. In this case, this is how many hours were spent watching TV. And then it has a scale, in this case going from 0 to 10 with each number represented. So we are using X's for the data pieces. You are labeling right here with that horizontal axis that describes the data. That horizontal axis also has each of the units being reported. So you've got the hours and hours listed down here in words. Okay. Line plots do not have that vertical axis, so it does not have the line going up like this. Sometimes you see that in other kinds of line plots. You won't see that in this line plot. So line plots have titles to describe the information, okay? If you want more information on that, you can click on, or you can go to your SRB in Everyday Math online and go to 215 and you'll get some more information on that. So now that we know what a line plot should look like, let's go ahead and look at this next one. So I've created this line plot right here. This one looks a little bit different. This left one is a line plot. This right one is a bar graph. And so we've got a label here. This is months. And up here, then that goes with my label months, January, February, March, all the way down to December. I've given it a title. So room 15 birthdays. So that's how many birthdays we have for each month in the room. Okay, so in January, what this says is I have 3 birthdays, 3 people that have January birthdays. In August, I have 4 people. So I could ask you a question, which birthday months only have 1 person? And you would say May and September. So you can answer questions about this. Remember, this X is 1 person each, okay? Because it's how many people represented that one piece of data. Now, how is this line graph similar to the bar graph? Well, both of them have labels on bottom. Both of them have titles. Both of them have the months listed for this particular one. Okay, both of them are showing the data. What's different though is that I have 1 X per person. Over here, I've drawn a bar and I have a vertical axis with a label over here, the number of birthdays. So what this is saying is I've got 3 people who have a January birthday. It's giving me the same information, but it's setting it up for you in a slightly different way, okay? All right, so this is going to be the page on your math journal today. You need to fill this in so that you can then answer some questions on the next one. So I'm going to get you started, and I'm going to show you how I would do this in a very organized way. So it says a 4th grade class at Hillside Elementary School used a spring scale to weigh their full backpacks and recorded the weights to the nearest 1/4 of a pound. So it's giving you right here in my data, all of this is my data. Here is my title, backpack weights. Down here, which you can't see, lists the pounds to the nearest 1/4 of a pound. And, oops, no, that's not what I wanted. And there we go. Nope. Sorry, guys. I don't know why that's not leaving. Okay, anyway, so the numbers are measured down here, okay, with the different weights. So as you look at this scale right here, okay, we are going to be starting with the smallest measurement, which you cannot see on this thing because I cannot get it to go away. No, still not. Okay, anyway, there's a 4 down here, and then a 5, and then a 6, and then a 7. So you can see those. Each pound, so from 8 to 9 is 1 pound, from 9 to 10 is another pound. is divided into fourths. So this would be 9 and 1/4, 9 and 2/4, 9 and 3/4, and then we know 10, because that would be 9 and 4/4, which is 10. Over here, it's the same thing, okay? So as I'm looking at my data up here, I'm looking at this first piece of data, which is the 4, okay? I can come down here and I am going to mark the 4. Here's the 4. I'm going to mark that with 1x above the 4. And then I'm going to cross that off. Okay, then I'm going to go to my next one, which would be 6.5. Here's the 6. I know the half would be 2/4, so 1/4, 2/4, that's 6.5. Cross that out. 7.5, same thing, 7, 7 and 1/4, 7 and 2/4. So remember, 2/4 is the same as a half. So you could label these down here if you wanted. You could do a 1/4 and then the half. And what this means is 4 and a 4th, 4.5. So you'd really want to put a 4 in front of them. And then this one would be, and then this one would be 4 and 3/4. And that's how all of them would go. So this would be 5 and a 4th, 5.5, 5 and 3/4. Okay. So you could label that down here just for you so that you can see that. My next one is a 4.5. So right here's 4.5. So I would put an X in that box. 7 and a 4th is right here. First line after the 7. 5 and a 4th right here. 9 and a 4th right here. So the first line after it is always the 4th. The second line after the whole number is always the half. And then the third one is the 3/4. Here's my 6.5. 6 and 1/4, 6.5. So I've got a second one going above it because I already had one. 8 and 3/4 would go right here. So if it's the first one, it's just going to go in that first box. If it is the second piece of data, it would go up above it. 5 and 3/4 would go right here. 7. And then 7 and 3/4 would go right here. So something that I did a couple of things. I labeled down here, so you could label those just for your own knowledge. And then as I did one piece of data going across, and as I labeled it, then I crossed it out. The other thing that you can do is check to see. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pieces of data that I think that I've marked. So come down here. Do you have 13 X's? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. That's another way to check just to make sure you haven't left anything out. So here's 5 and 3/4 again. That's the second one, so it would go up here. 7 is the second one, so it would go up there. 7 and a 4th is the second one. 8 and a 4th, that's the first one because it's the first one after the 8. 6 and a 4th, that would be the first one. 7 and 3/4, that's the second one, so it would come up there. 9 and a 4th, that's the second one. 7 and a 4th, that's the third one. 4 and 3/4, that's the first one. 5 and a 4th, that's the second one. 5 and a 4th again, so now that's the third one. 9 and 3/4, that's the first one. And then 7 and 1/4. That would be the fourth one, okay? So again, I went through this row one at a time, labeled it down here, crossed it off up here. I could count to see if I have 26 now, which I do. And then you're going to use this data to answer some questions. So keep in mind, this is how the X's are how many people have that weight. So what this is saying is there are 2 people whose backpacks weigh 7 pounds. There are 4 people whose backpacks weigh 7 and 1/4 pounds. Okay, so just pay attention to this. You can use this to help you do your own graph as well. Okay.